What is up guys, Andy Forrester, Dean Runner here. Welcome back to another video, and today I'm giving you guys my 3 most disappointing running shoes that I've tested in 2023. So I've been extremely lucky this year to test a fair few running shoes, and there's just a few that haven't quite made the cut. Disappointing might be a little bit of a strong word, but there are reasons why I'm probably not going to pick up these running shoes again and run in them. So I want to dive in and share with you my thoughts on these top 3 running shoes that just haven't cut it for me. If you're excited for today's video guys, make sure you give it a like, share it with your friends, and of course subscribe to the channel for weekly running content. Let's dive in to a bit of a bonus one first. Now don't worry, this isn't part of the list, but yes, it is the Saucony Set 9. Yes, you are seeing that right, and I have no idea why I said this will be a bonus thing at the start. It's basically an extra bit of news that I want to deliver to you, considering we're talking about disappointing shoes. And that is that I've had to stop running in the Saucony Set 9. I've got about 135 or 130 something miles in the shoe, and I really noticed over the last 4 or 5 runs in the shoe, my ankles have been rolling in way too much and causing some outer leg tightness when I've finished running in the shoe. I kind of get this in some shoes. I've had it in the New Balance Rebel version 2. That was just too soft and squishy. I had it with my Nike Street Flies. The first pair that I had, when I got them around 200 miles, I just found my ankles collapsing in way too much. And now actually my previous run in my second pair of Street Flies, which now have 153 miles in, I suffered the same fate there. The outside of my legs were really tight, and I did notice when I was running that indeed my ankles were rolling in too much. And this has been the same with this shoe. I didn't ever notice it, nor did I feel like I ever had an issue in the first, I don't know, 80, 90 miles. But as I was getting close to 100, and I did actually mention it in a training video, this cutout on the inside here offers a little bit less support than what you would find in other shoes, I guess, because they've kind of, wow, you can see there's a cutout here for the, so you can see the energy rods in there, and the midsole here is just cut a little bit shallower than on this outside here. And what I find is when I get tired, I can sometimes find that my knees collapse in a little bit, and therefore I might need a little bit more support in some of my shoes. So this type of design, it just isn't working for me now. And I'm gutted because I've produced so many videos on this shoe telling you guys how amazing it is and how amazing it definitely is for me. Like, I love running in it, but I've just had to stop for the moment. It got to the point where in the training series I said, I'm getting a few pains in this shoe. I'll try it 1 or 2 more times, see if it was fatigue. I've tried it 1 or 2 more times, and every single time I just have to stop and not run in it for another week or 2 to let the outer leg tightness settle. I've got to do extra foam rolling and massage gun on that area to loosen everything off. So I'm really disappointed. It doesn't make the cut on this list, but I just wanted to let you guys know, if you've been watching and following the channel, you know the Saucony Sen is a massive favourite of mine. So we'll kickstart the list with the Brooks Ghost 15. A little bit gutted with this one because I really wanted to like it more than I do. Quick history, if you saw the review, you'll know that I took it out on an easy run whilst I was out on holiday. That was really comfortable, really nice. I was on holiday, so there was no pressure, just relaxed, ran along the seafront, and it was really nice. A little bit on the heavier side, but overall I was really quite impressed with the shoe in terms of like how it felt, and it just ticked that box for a nice easy plod. I then got home. First run back from coming home, I decided to take it out on a zone 2 run, and it was a little bit too cumbersome. I knew at that point that the moderate stuff was not this shoe's cup of tea, and it was very much just a case of a zone 1 easy plodding shoe for me. What I was impressed about with this shoe was the cushioning in and around here. Very, very, very plush, very comfortable, reminiscent of older Asics shoes, let's say 4 or 5 years ago. Just a lot of cushioning there. And it was a really comfortable shoe. What I feel this shoe lacks, and why it's been a little bit disappointing with me, is the midsole. It's a little bit dull in terms of it's not as responsive as some of the other ones. So at the time when I was testing this, I was testing a host of other daily trainers that were very much zone 1 and zone 2 shoes. I'm going to try and reel a couple off the top of my head. The Gel Cumulus 25 from Asics, the Puma Magnify Nitro 2, this one, the Saucony Triumph 21, the On Cloud Stratus 3. There was another one as well, I can't remember. And I just kind of like did the moderate run in this one, went back into some of the other shoes, and then it just made me realise what this shoe is lacking. And I said that is kind of that midsole, it's just a little bit dead. I feel like this is going to be my next walking shoe. I'm going to use it for walking around. I feel it gives me the comfort that I want. It's really, really enjoyable to slip on foot. But I feel like when I was getting out there and running, it was just kind of like not giving me too much back in terms of responsiveness. So when we talk about responsiveness, when you land and you kind of push off for your next foot strike, what does the midsole give back to you? Does it just sink you in and then not give you anything back to push you off? Or do you kind of get a little bit of a sink and a bounce? Or do you feel a little bit of a good roll through motion? Do you get any propulsion from the shoe? And this one doesn't particularly give me too much of anything. So in terms of comfort levels, it's really, really good. It's very enjoyable. It feels good on foot walking around. But yeah, in terms of what the shoe gives back to me, it's just a little bit on the heavier side and just, yeah, a little bit dead in the midsole. And then we move on to the Ride 16 from Saucony. Absolutely devastated. I didn't want to include it, but I've got to include it in this one. I really didn't feel it from the off with this shoe, and I think my first impressions video kind of gave that vibe. It was a decent first run in the shoe, but I haven't given it another chance, if I'm honest with you. It really wasn't what I was hoping the Ride 16 to be, because the Ride 15 for me was such a lightweight, enjoyable shoe that could flip between zone 1 and zone 2 runs. It was light, it was nimble. In my UK size 13, I think it was very close to 300 grams, which is really, really lightweight. It puts it in the category of like the Endorphin Speed 3, in and around there. And it just meant that although it wasn't anything special, it was a shoe that was lightweight, which I enjoy, and I could pick up and I could go out there and I could use it for zone 1 and zone 2 runs. This version had about a 22 or 24 gram weight gain, which completely threw this shoe and threw its purpose for me. Not for you guys. What you've got to remember is I'm a 6'6" runner, around 86 to 88 kilos. So my thoughts on this are going to be completely different to yours if you're 5'10" and 55 or 60 kilos. Just bear that in mind. But I think for me, what this shoe suddenly became was somewhere in between the Triumph 21 and the Endorphin Shift 3 from Saucony. And I had both of those two shoes, not the Shift that I was running in at the time, but I put over 100 miles in the Shift. What a silent assassin of a shoe. That just got the job done. You got that shoe, you picked it up, nothing special, no bells and whistles, but it got the job done. You just logged the easy miles and it was really, really enjoyable. And then the Saucony Triumph 21, bouncier, Power Run Plus midsole, enjoyable again, heavier than this, but the midsole gave it some life, it gives it some life. I'm still logging miles in it, and that's a really, really enjoyable shoe. I feel like with the basic Power Run foam in this, plus a 20 gram increase, I just kind of feel like it's moving into the Endorphin Shifts territory, and I feel like the Endorphin Shift does it better than the Ride 16. Similarly, it's going to kind of, these sorts are going to apply to the Guide 16 as well. So again, this is heavier than this because it's a stability version, so there's a little bit more some even more firmer midsole in and around the medial area here, before that shoe rolls off, just to stop you rolling in too much. There's a couple of other features on here, some stiffer rubber at the back here, especially down the side, again just to stop too much pronation and rolling in. Again, I think I tested the Guide 15 if I remember rightly, and because it was lighter, like the Ride 15, both of those shoes worked much better for me. So yeah, just a little bit disappointed with these two this year. Oh, and the last one in the list. I really, really wanted to love this shoe. This is the Brooks Hyperion. Brooks very kindly sent me this shoe earlier in the year to test, and this kind of falls in the, it's a speed day shoe, and it kind of falls in the category of things like the Puma Liberate Nitro, maybe the New Balance Rebel, the New Balance SC Pacer maybe as well even. Just a slightly, I'm not going to say lower stack because it's still I think 30 plus mil in the heel, but a more lower stack than something like this, the Hyperion Max. And yeah, it just didn't quite work out for me. The shoe just didn't have enough about it for me to want to lace it up and enjoy it like I did with the Hyperion Max. And I'll give you exactly why I think that is. So this shoe is lighter than this one, and there's a couple of reasons why. Despite the fact that this one has 2 or 3 extra mil of stack in it, you can see it's got a much more aggressive rocker there, so you are naturally rolling through the stride much better. And the upper, this is a massive difference to this shoe. So this upper is super, super lightweight. This is much thicker, dual layer. it just adds a lot of weight to the shoe. I think if they put this upper onto this shoe, you'd be talking about a different beast, but they didn't, which is really, really sad. And yet, although there's not that aggressive roll off there, you are doing more of the work in this shoe, but I feel like for a lower stack shoe, you should be getting a lighter weight package, and you're just not. And it's really gutting to see, because I was looking forward to trying this after loving the Hyperion Max, and I want another pair of Hyperion Max for my London Marathon block next year. I just kind of thought to myself, this could be the baby brother, the baby cousin of it, which does all the lighter, shorter, sharper interval work, and it just hasn't lit my fire in the slightest. As I said, there's nothing particularly wrong with it in terms of the way it's designed. Does it rub? No. Do I move fast in it? Yeah, I've done some workouts, I put some fast paces in it, but it's just not been enjoyable. You know, when you're out there and you're running and you're feeling fast, sometimes that shoe can kind of like put that smile on your face when you're enjoying yourself and you're like, yeah, I love this, and the shoe is really working for me. I kind of felt like I was fighting with this shoe to get to the paces that I wanted to get to, and when you're fighting with a shoe, that is kind of not really a good sign. That's what I felt anyway. So I kind of feel like they went a little bit wrong with the upper here. If they'd have swapped the upper out for the Hyperion Max's upper, absolute game changer. Suddenly then we'd have a lighter shoe. If they did put a little bit of a slightly more couple of degrees extra rocker in there that just curled up a little bit more, just to encourage you through that gait cycle a bit better, again, we could be talking about an absolute monster of a shoe, but sadly it didn't happen, and therefore this one has been a little bit too disappointing. So there we go, those are my top three most, I hate to label it disappointing, but those are my top three most disappointing running shoes of 2023. Ones I was looking forward to and just didn't really cut it for me, or ones that I'm very grateful to be sent them, but sadly they just didn't work out for me. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you tried any of these shoes? If you have, please do drop a comment below and let me know what your thoughts are. And of course, the Takumi, that I didn't know where to put it in a video. I didn't know if I should make a video about it, but I thought this would be a good video to drop that in. So I'd love to hear from you. Do you get the same issues that I get with the Takumi, or are you able to just plow the miles in? Is it working really, really well for you? Just drop a comment below and let me know. I'd love to hear from you down there. That's it from me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do consider giving it a like, share it with your friends, and of course subscribe to the channel for weekly running content. I'll see you in the next one. Until then.